there she is. I think you're over here, Kendra. All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to our second joint work session between the governing body and the planning commission. I'll call this meeting to order and we'll take a quick roll call. Is that you, Ashley? All right, go for it.
Mr. Delgado. Mr. Savage. Mr. Thron.
Here.
Ms. Feeback. Mr. Grant.
All right, Amy.
Ms. Crevier. Mr. Nace. Mr. Aravallo. Mr. Earhart. Ms. Jones. Ms. Squire. Mr. Sly. Mr. Morse. Thank you.
All right, we do have a quorum. Our first item up is discussion of the comprehensive plan completion process, next steps and schedule. Mr. Mike Mallon is going to go through that with us, and he's got a full presentation. I'm going to go ahead and turn around as he talks, and anybody, I guess since we don't have microphones, just kind of raise your hand or something if we have. We will not have any public comment during this section, but afterwards at the Planning Commission, it's one of the first things on the agenda where you can do citizen participation, so please give your feedback at that time of anything that we talk about tonight and or anything in general with Planning Commission.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate everybody coming here this evening to talk about our comprehensive plan and the next steps in the process for finalizing the comp plan that started 2023, 2022, 23, 24 ballpark timeline. So we're excited to kick this off. Here's the agenda that was on the website for this evening. Discussion of the comprehensive plan and then some potential unified zoning ordinance changes to help better respond to changing development patterns. So this is a slide of the current city boundary with the city of Spring Hill highlighted in the colored aerial, as you see down there. This was recently, most recently extended to add the 315 acres over near 191st and Renner Road. The city of Olathe surrounds in the light pink to the north. The city of Overland Park is to the right of the screen, or the east in the light orange color, and then Gardner and Edgerton are shown over to the right. I think what this map really does is it shows how much land is in unincorporated Johnson County and in unincorporated Miami County still, which leaves a lot of room for future growth area for not only Spring Hill, but some of our neighboring cities as well. This is a map that shows the current city boundaries, most recently updated with our current infrastructure shown with the existing sewer lines and existing water lines. The sewer lines are in green and the water lines are in blue. We have a number of construction or capital improvement projects and studies now that could look at expanding our sewer system. In particular, water services would now fall to Water 1 to the north and Water District 2 to our south and southeast. I read an article the other day, and I shared this with the Chamber of Commerce when I did a presentation. 10 years ago, 15 years ago, developers and builders were most worried when they're looking at development projects about whether they could even get their projects approved, whether it would meet zoning, meet the comprehensive plan, would be a good fit for the community. Going forward, developers are looking for infrastructure, and the cities that can provide that infrastructure will be the ones that actually attract new development, because the best development plans in the world won't be able to happen if the city or the county that they're looking to locate in can't provide the necessary infrastructure to serve that development. Water, sewer, roads, transportation, electricity, things like that.
Mike, could we point out on here, I know we've got two different sewer projects going, or actually three, I guess. One on 223rd, the northeast and the northwest. Just kind of point on the map where those are at for everybody to see.
I would probably need some more assistance on that one from
Say, is
Lane or
anybody-
Allison. I don't mean to
Lane or-
catch Allison with a bite in her mouth, though.
On these ones, maybe, it might be easier over here if you can reach. Can you reach those?
I don't know if I can
Are you
reach
too
that.
short?
Okay, so we've got several projects. I guess I could stand in the chair. We have several projects going on up in the northeast sewer. Listen, do I need a microphone?
Yeah.
I want to make sure the people at home can listen. So we have several sewer projects that are going on. Up in the northwest portion of the city, we've got a sewer project that's currently under design right now. That is at approximately 175th to 183rd Street to the south on the west side of 169. So that's currently under design. We hope to have that under construction here later this year. We have a project that is currently under construction right now. That is the northeast sewer. And that is on the other side of 169, 183rd to 191st-ish area. We've got gravity, force main, and a lift stations being constructed with that. That's going on right now. We have another project that is currently under design. It's North Webster Sewer Project, and that's going to be just north of the glass plant to incorporate some of the areas on the east and west side of Webster Street. And of course, we have our wastewater treatment facility that we are under design right now to help us get to a 2.5 to a 5 million gallon per day plant so that we can help serve the larger development in the future. Our current facility, we've got about somewhere between 5 and 10 years based on our steady growth that we will be out of capacity at the current plant. So we need to do something today. That does include Bucyrus that is also currently under construction. We are going to be taking on some of the Bucyrus customers and as well as some of the Johnson County wastewater customers as part of the Northwest sewer. We're taking on, they're actually Olathe residents that are being served by Johnson County wastewater. We're helping Johnson County out with the extension of our Northwest sewer. We're going to decommission one of their lift stations to help serve those residents better. And we'll be taking them on, and that's all part of that Northwest sewer project.
And some of that's within our current city limits now, kind of where it says Bonita. That's where that northeast one is kind of going down the railroad tracks. And again, that west one is kind of where we see the cluster of green in the top left corner of the utility map. That's not currently within limits, but that's kind of our area where we have a growth pattern kind of opportunities there because of this wastewater. So just wanted to make sure everybody kind of knew where all of the new utilities are kind of running through as we go through some of these other items.
Okay. So here's a draft schedule and outline of a process that we think will get us to the final points where this comprehensive plan can be completed, brought forward to the Planning Commission for a recommendation to the governing body to adopt the comprehensive plan. Our current draft is incomplete. Work has generally stopped on that for the past 6 to 9 months, maybe even a little bit longer. There's some steps that we need to do to get it across the finish line. What I will go through here in a minute is a new schedule and a new process for completion. The desired outcomes of a comprehensive plan that we think would be best for the city is a holistic, complete comprehensive plan that looks at not only land use, but also quality of life, transportation, infrastructure, parks, the whole city as as we look to do capital improvement projects, expanding our infrastructure, and really what do we want the development patterns in Spring Hill to look like going forward. As such, the future land use map, in particular over the last few months, has gotten a lot of attention. The future land use map is just one component of the overall comprehensive plan. It is not the plan itself. It is just one component. And even with that future land use map, it is a best guess, an educated guess, projection of what could happen different development scenarios as they could happen based upon the information we have today. We can't predict everything that will happen in 30 years, and so a good comprehensive plan is a plan that can adjust and have some flexibility to respond to market trends as they happen. 15 years ago, the housing crunch that we're all seeing was not a thing. 20 years ago, we were almost coming to the Great Recession and the big housing bubble. So 20 years ago, no comprehensive plan kind of in the country anticipated the massive decline in the housing industry in 2008. I don't think anybody planned for COVID, and nobody was planning for a second housing crunch at this time in their comprehensive plans. A good comprehensive plan seeks to be resilient, to be able to respond to those changing dynamics, and then that's why we build in that flexibility to be able to respond to that. But not only that, we want to be able to adjust accordingly because we don't know what the next thing may be, whether it's a new type of development pattern, a new industry, disruptive industries such as AI. Like, how are these all going to impact the built environment and quality of life of the city? So we want the plan to be responsive to an unpredictable future. We're proposing to do additional listening sessions and public input sessions. Again, over the last few months, the comprehensive plan has been a popular topic of conversation, and a good comprehensive plan gets input from all parts of the city, all residents, both in the county and in city limits. We want to hear from everybody. Those that have opinions that may not necessarily share them. We want to create unique and innovative ways for people to share their input. We want to make it as easy as possible to get all of the opinions so that the comprehensive plan can be a real scope that everybody can provide input on. As such, not everybody in the city or within the county or a future growth area is going to have the same opinion as to what future growth could look like. That's the beauty of having a diverse community with a lot of different ideas. And so the idea of a comprehensive plan is to build that consensus and to come to some sort of an agreement so that we can put a plan in place and move forward, and then have a guide for which to base city decisions, other plans that may fall under this umbrella, such as a transportation plan or a parks and open space master plan, things of that nature. And again, back to that flexibility, a comprehensive plan can be reviewed every year, every 5 years, to make sure that we're responding to the needs of the community. As part of those listening sessions, I've seen some real success in having land use 101 discussions to really talk about how land uses impact each other and how market dynamics dictate or lead developers and lead to propose developments where they do, and also to how cities respond to those development inquiries. And so a land use 101 and also a how development happens. I think there's sometimes a misconception that the city is the one that actually goes out and builds neighborhoods, and that we at the city are the ones that build shopping centers. The city does not build private development. We set the ground rules in the zoning based upon the framework of a comprehensive plan, and then the private development, private investment comes in, and they actually fund the private development that we see. The city takes care of oftentimes the infrastructure, sewer, roads, parks, public amenities, but it's private development. And for everybody to be educated and have a good understanding of how these things play into land use decisions involves us understanding why developers pick certain properties, what they're looking for, what markets are they trying to serve. And so I think that would be a very beneficial thing that we could do. Also, having some development tours with the Planning Commission, with potential governing body members to get out and go tour developments in and around the Kansas City region. There's a lot of variety, and to almost do a visual preference survey so that people can say, yes, I like this. And then really deep dive into that is, what do you like about it? What do we like about it? Is it the size of the buildings in relation to the sidewalk? Is it the proximity of a higher density residential product to a commercial shopping center? Or is it the space in between homes? And so getting out and touring other successful developments in the KC region can help us hone in that vision for what Spring Hill can be in the future. Again, we want a variety of input from the community, businesses, residents, stakeholders, members of the Planning Commission, members of the governing body, city staff, the school district, Chamber of Commerce, really trying to get a sense of what the different visions are for what Spring Hill could be in the future, and then putting those together to come up with a plan to try to get us moving in that direction. The process that I have worked with in the past and that is most successful is where the city staff and works with the consultants based and takes that information from that input from the community, the businesses, the governing body, the planning commissioners, and puts that together into a draft plan with has different scenarios, different alternatives for growth patterns, for how corridors could develop. I often joke that if I could predict what was going to happen on any piece of ground over the next 30 years and what was the absolute best use on that property, I probably wouldn't be working in city government, because that's what real estate developers do every day, and they make a lot more money than any of us do in city government. But I can also make an argument for any given parcel or property in the city that there isn't just one perfect land use for that parcel. It could be a commercial shopping center. It could be high quality apartments. It could be an office park. There's a lot of different things that could happen on a property. And then the domino effect of if one of these parcels turns into this type of development, what does that mean for the surrounding properties? And so really try to look at how all of that can come together through that alternative and scenario planning, and then bringing that forward as a draft with those options to the Planning Commission, to have the Planning Commission review those, provide input, and then ultimately vote on a preferred alternative, and then bring that forward to the City Council. We have a variety of opinions, and not everybody's going to agree, but we want to come to as best consensus as we can moving forward. And again, that built-in flexibility allows us to modify that plan as we go. Not being too hung up on the idea that this is what we adopted 15 years ago, and now we have to stick to that, because if in my opinion, if we keep those blinders on of this is what we have to do, then we don't look up to see what else we can do. And so we really want it to be flexible, and then that way we can respond to what changes. And overall, the goal is to build consensus of how to move forward, and have a plan that we can implement.
Did you turn it off on me? You don't want me to talk? I'm going to pause here and have a little bit of discussion.
Yeah,
With
absolutely.
you. All right, so my thought when Mike first brought this up, that hey, we're kind of incomplete. We don't really have everything we need with the tight timeline I kind of gave of June is when I would like it done. With the massive amount of public input that we're getting now, I wanted to make sure we can capture that. 'Cause in 23, we literally had hardly any input from anybody. It was actually pretty bad. We got more input from people up in Olathe than we did within city or county area of close to the city. So with everybody being more engaged right now, I'd like to try to, give us 6 months. I think we'll go through the timeline next, but I want to make sure we have buy-in from everybody on planning and governing body that this sounds like a plan that we take what we have already, get some more community input, get a company that is a little bit more tried and true than the last one we had, and try to finish this thing up the right way, and then have a plan going forward to update it regularly rather than every 20 years or so. So anybody have any feedback on that as far as that idea? Are you okay with it? What's everybody's thought there?
My question is there any way to get our money back from the last consultant firm? Because it was abysmal.
Yeah, it was. I don't know. That'd be a Spencer question. I don't think so. You kind of sometimes buy it and you get what you get.
Walmart has it.
I know. It was pretty bad. Yeah.
Wrong city listed ones in there,
Well, I think for people who are here that weren't really around for that, I think we went through 5 different directors from the company because people kept leaving as the process was going on. So we never really had a continuous person. Rodolfo had been around the whole time. Chuck, Cindy, you've been on there the whole time. You guys were dealing with it more than even us because they were going back and forth, but you would kind of give them information and then nothing would really come back. So the plan here would be is that we'd put the onus on Mike and Ian to be very much on top of them and every month really have a plan of what we're trying to make decisions on and move forward with and get information back quickly and concisely. So if we have a consensus from everybody that, hey, we want to be very, very diligent with this, I hate to push it, but at the same time, I don't want to force it and take what we have and use something incomplete and then everybody's unhappy with it, rather than do it the right way.
So then my next question would be, what will be the outlets in which we offer up the survey to the community? Because I know I wasn't on planning
Mhm.
when we started the comprehensive plan, but I was very interested in it, and I never once saw where you could submit a survey or go to a meeting or anything like that, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, you put out surveys. I'm like, I never
It's because
saw
you were
those.
too busy with Fall Festival. I mean, a lot of it was at Fall Festival, really. Mike, what ideas do you have? Because, yeah, we pretty much did like the community events. We had like the QR codes all over the ground. But again, if you have no idea what it is, when you see it, you don't know to, scan it to do that. So, yeah,
See, and I never saw that, so that's why I'm asking if there's better outlets.
exactly, yeah.
Because it's,
He said that something unique, and that was my question is, what's unique that we haven't tried?
Yeah, what,
There are a lot of different, this is all the consultants that are out there doing this for a living right now are always trying to come up with new and better ways to get the input from the far corners or of the city for people who don't normally participate, or the people that have lives when they get home at 5 o'clock and they don't have time to come to a meeting and sit and provide brainstorming ideas to a governing body or to consultants. So, some of them, there was a trend where they all went electronic, do everything via social media, do it through websites, but that doesn't reach everybody because some people just like a face-to-face conversation. Conversely, the old school days, we used to just go set up at an event and hand out and just talk to people. I think the best solution and to get all of the input we can is to combine the two and do a website, do the Facebook surveys, do a lot of different aspects of that side with also, feet on the ground, meeting people, really getting out and working with the chamber to get this in the business's hands. We want to create champions of this effort. And so that involves all of us. That involves the planning commissioners talking to people about it. Or if there's questions, send them to the right resources and things like that. And that doesn't even include, without asking the different consultants out there what they've done, say, in a different metro area completely, in Denver or in Oklahoma, Omaha. What have they done where they've seen success? The planning conferences are filled with everybody doing show and tell about all the cool things they do. And so I don't want to pretend that I know them all at this point, but I think having that variety rather than relying on one or two only really gives us that best chance to do it.
well, and I also think right now we have the most engagement we've ever had. So right now it's probably better than ever, at this point. Look how many people showed up tonight. Usually we have 2 people in the crowd and it's the same 2 people all the time. So now that we have people here, people engaged, now it's the time to do it. And then just keeping everybody engaged by listening and trying to do the right thing. So if we're good with that, I think that's a good plan. Any other feedback that you think we should look at instead of this, or?
From past,
I'm sorry?
I said from past comprehensive plans, some of the best attendance that we had and some of the best feedback that we had was when we did hands-on activities and had engagement from the community, from the stakeholders at that time, and we're actually not just verbally giving an opinion, but actually hands-on, either building something or post-it notes throughout the room on 22 by 28. I don't know if those things still work today, but historically, those were some of the best feedback that we got.
Yeah, and that's kind of my thought is maybe we even attack it a little bit by part of town and get with, we now have, full neighborhoods we can go through the HOAs and, you know, this part of town, we can do things here that hopefully we can get folks here. Like I said, the best we can do is just try. I mean, last time I felt like we kind of did a lot of the same thing. It was like online surveys and the community events. I think we have to kind of create the event, really get the word out. But like I said, as of the last 12 months, I feel like everything we've done has had way more attendance than anything we've had in the last 5 years. So if that trend continues, it's going to be better no matter what. But at this point, just taking what we've got and kind of running with it. I just don't want to take what we have and kind of put an incomplete product out there. So.
Well, I think it's a good idea to take a little bit more time
Hmm.
rather than try to rush it.
Exactly.
Because you'll get much better
I don't want to rush it, but at the same time, I don't want to delay it too long. So that's why I think if we give a pretty tight timeline, which I think we'll go through next, to me, it seems like a good bet. Anybody else have anything? PJ, Ivan? Oh, yeah, you want this?
Yeah, out of the list of things here, the thing that's got me the most excited is putting out information and having these listening sessions. We had great turnout when we were talking about the roundabouts, and we did the public meeting for that. Lots of people came in and were engaged. I think it was the SS4A. We had a lot of engagement through the different ways they put out information and surveys. So if we can kind of tap into all of those things and really get out to as many people as possible, I love that idea. And it's probably, for me, it's the best justification for holding off. You rarely get the city as a whole engaged in anything, and we've got people engaged right now. So let's take advantage of it. I really want to take advantage of this as far as letting people know the resources that are already available. The city does have a place where we post everything all the time. Everybody's like, I never know what's going on. And the reality is we have state obligations that we meet, and we post all of our public hearings through, what is it, the Paola newspaper, I believe, yeah, that's our required publication. So if you're concerned about anything that's going on in the city, or you feel like you're not being advised as far as what's coming up or what meetings are being held, that's what you follow. You need to subscribe to that newspaper. It's every city in Kansas has a publication that they're required to post all of their things in. Spring Hill doesn't have a newspaper, so you have to use the next closest periodical, and for us, that's Paola. So stay. Yes. Right, and then you can also sign up online for notifications. Is that through our website?
Notify me.
Yep, notify me through the website's another great thing to look through. Just really, if you don't know where the information's accessible, encouraging people just to call. We have people standing by phones all day ready to answer any questions, and that's I think that disconnect right now is something that we need to address. So putting out as much information as we have about all the resources that are already available, it's going to help move this along and get as much input as we can.
We've only got about 20 more minutes, so let's move on. But tell everybody you know too. If you're here, just tell 5 people, and then it'll get further out than you know.
All right, so here's so what we would like is a comprehensive plan that has also multiple avenues to get the information once it's finally adopted. Some cities just do a PDF document that lives buried in a website somewhere under the community development heading, and it's hard to navigate to find that for the average person who just wants to jump on there and find it. So a good comprehensive plan has multiple avenues to get the information. A PDF document so somebody could read it. Sometimes we still print them because people like to be able to reference in a hard copy, but also to have an interactive website where you can click on the different chapters of the plan and go right to that chapter if you want to know about potential transportation improvements, or what does the future land use map say generally for this area near my home, or where is the city looking at putting, commercial shopping centers, things like that. So we would want to have it be as easy to find the information as possible. So our draft schedule would be to put out a request for proposals to engage a planning or engineering or landscape architecture firm to help us complete this comprehensive plan, put it out for a 30-day timeline so that people can respond to that in a meaningful way. We want something that is going to be unique to Spring Hill, not just changing the name on the plan and doing a word search and taking out whatever city they just did and putting in Spring Hill. We want this to be a plan for Spring Hill. In order to do that, the consultants need time to put together their best presentation to be able to try to get that project from the city. So with that time frame, we'd be looking at a May 15th deadline. April 15th would give us enough time to close to April 15th to draft that and get it out. May 15th, we'd have a deadline or somewhere near there. 2 weeks to review the proposal and have an interview with the different consultants. And then essentially we would choose one, bring that forward with a contract sometime before June to have that approved by the city council. And this is all conservative. Some of the cost estimates I've heard are between $50,000 to $75,000. It's not a complete redo of the plan because we have a lot of that background information and research that was done. We would just need to update it in terms of population numbers, housing numbers, permit numbers, things of that nature. And then ideally targeting a July 1st kickoff with the consultant. And then a 6-month project and wrapping that up by the end of the year and then bringing that forward to Planning Commission and the governing body sometime in January, if not sooner, would be our proposed timeline. So this is essentially a little over 6 months, just to be conservative, but we also, we're not the consultant's only client, and so part of our schedule would be dependent upon their existing workload and what they could fit in there. But you know, a consultant may look at this and say, this isn't 6 months worth of work. We can do this rather quickly. But we also don't want to rush it and have 4 neighborhood meetings in 1 month because we want to be able to have time to develop scenarios and then have people react to it. So we want to take our time, do it the right way, and not try to just rush it to get it done. But I think this schedule would allow us enough time to do it the right way.
Yeah, I think we initially talked about December, but you know, November, December is so tough between planning and city council meetings to get everything in. We have a lot of people out, and I would hate to make decisions with barely a, quorum for each group. So I think this gives us the right, like I said, if it comes in and we end up doing it a lot quicker, that's great, fine. But I think if we do it right, it probably takes this amount of time. I think we do it any longer, it could become stale dated again, and we kind of get what we got into last time where we hit a year and things just really didn't go the way we wanted. So to me, this is kind of ideal. Obviously, the RFP process always takes a while. So they have to bring forward their best foot. So any questions, comments on this? No? Okay, well, I think in my opinion, we've got a consensus to go ahead and move forward with this. I'd like to get that going so we can make sure we meet this timeline, and I'm gonna hold you to January.
Okay.
You too. I asked Allison a minute ago, because she did have such a good turnout for like the roundabout and the SS4A, and she was talking about how she got some of the business owners down south close to there involved to spread the word. So again, I think that's our best bet. All of us know a lot of people around here, whether they be in the county like Chuck or different parts of the city. Tell your neighbors, tell everybody you know, hey, get involved, be a part of this process so that we can help, okay? Next up, we're gonna talk about potential unified zoning ordinance changes to better respond to changing development trends. This is kind of a stopgap because we're pushing this out, and I know we've had major issues with having a lack of zoning options. So we're going to look at something we can do quickly here in the next month or two to try and make sure we get those updated. So Mike's going to go over some of those options for us.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. The first option that I think is most pressing right now is currently the city only has 2 industrial zoning districts. We have the MP, which is the Industrial Park Zoning District, and we have the M1, which is General Industrial. The MP Industrial Park is intended to be a little bit more limited in nature, have limited commercial services, research, development, administrative facilities, low impact industrial, artisan manufacturing, things of that nature in that industrial park MP zoning. The next one is our kind of catch-all for any type of industrial use is the M1. Currently, that would allow what we have in M1 currently. The concrete plant, manufacturing, outdoor manufacturing with outside storage, larger intensity industrial and manufacturing land uses, cardinal glass, you know, things of that nature. What we would propose is creating a third industrial zoning district to differentiate between a M1 and the new M2, with the M1 being modified to be more of a light industrial. Basic industries which are generally compatible with residential or commercial activity. Finished products take place all indoors, limited outside storage, limited impacts land use wise. Not a lot of noise, lighting, odor, sounds, not a lot of traffic generated, things of that nature that can fit more in what you see in, you know, kind of the business park environment. Modern day industry takes place almost, you know, it's hard to tell the difference between an office building sometimes and an industrial use, because a lot of that is happening indoors, it's computer related, or it's precision manufacturing, and that has almost no external impacts. So we would like to trim back the M1 allowable land uses that we currently have in the city and create a new M2 heavy industrial, which are uses that aren't generally compatible with existing residential and or commercial activity unless there's significant buffering or mitigation of some of those external concerns. I'm not saying that it can't happen, but it's really not advisable to have it happen. So that would be our plan, and to structure it that way. We have a lot of existing business that is in M1 currently that would, if this were approved, become legal non-conforming land uses. So that means they couldn't expand the scope of their use or the footprint of their building and other, you know, the area on which they take up on a property, unless they were to come back in and request a rezoning to M2 from the city council. So it creates a situation whereby over time, those businesses can't expand as they continue to succeed, but it allows them to maybe find a different property to relocate to in the city, get a different zoning, if the zoning on their property is no longer appropriate for that heavy industrial use. So that's been, you know, commercial corridors have done that in different cities throughout the country, where there's houses up on a main street or residential uses that just aren't compatible within a commercial corridor. The properties are rezoned to commercial, and then eventually over time those residential uses fade out. So this would be our proposal to create a third industrial zoning district, which I believe is appropriate for a city of Spring Hill size today, not only with our population, but also as we grow. You know, if we had 5 or 6 different industrial categories, we really start splitting hair on what different land uses are what. Our land use table would have to expand greatly. And that's typically seen in a city like Kansas City, Missouri, or Kansas City, Kansas, that has a wide variety of different industrial types. We likely won't see that wide variety, but we want to be able to accommodate it within those 3 different zoning districts and then have enough differentiation between the 3 to be able to respond and provide guidance as to where those uses could be located.
How would this impact the current M1 zoning that's not developed?
The current M1 zoning that is not developed would have to follow whatever the zoning was in place at the time they applied.
Okay.
And so if we have a vacant piece of ground now that is zoned M1, and before this code change would be implemented, if it were to be approved, if they applied to develop it, they would be under the code that exists today. So they would be able to do the uses in the table today.
So why is that different from an existing business that's here to one that's not being used?
Because depending upon how the use is allowed in M1 or M2, how that gets written and approved, some of the uses that are allowed in M1 today may not be allowed in M1 under the 3 different industrial zoning district platform.
So they could be restricted on their development
They could be,
in the
yes.
future too?
Yes.
Okay. Because my question was, if we have M1, some of it probably is good for heavy industrial, some of it's probably not.
Mm-hmm.
And how do we kind of restructure that to make sure they meet those? I know we're kind of at a spot with some of them where we're not gonna get them to change it voluntarily, so, but also how do we meet the expectation that we rezoned it at the time based off of what they were looking to do and, you know, so on and so forth. So existing ones wouldn't be able to expand
After this gets adopted.
after this, if this
Yeah.
gets adopted. And vacant land would be based off of what the zoning is now, not after this.
It would be based upon when they apply for the development plans. So we
Oh,
have
so
to,
if they're applying for the development plans after we pass this,
then they would have to comply with the new.
with the new zoning, okay, I like that, okay.
And there may
Good,
be
that's what I was worried about. I'm like, are we still held to the standards of what M1 is now, or will they be held to the standards at the time of development?
No, some of those properties that currently have M1 zoning may object to this legislative change that would apply to the whole city. But generally speaking, and Spencer could probably correct me if I'm wrong, but legally speaking, we would not be do a constitutional taking of the property just by removing some of the allowed land uses on their property, because there's still a lot of different, land uses they could do on the property to still make, develop it and make money. We wouldn't be rezoning them to a park or taking away any allowed land uses on their property. And so I don't believe that would constitute like a constitutional taking or, devaluing their property.
And they would still have the opportunity to apply for M2 zoning.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. Good, I like that we aren't kind of strangled there.
Assuming you do a new company has a plan, then you would identify where you would like M2 or M3.
Yeah, I would assume they would help us identify that.
Yeah, ideally, like the mayor said, this is kind of a stopgap to tide us over until we get the comprehensive plan done. Following a good comprehensive plan, then we would probably look to hire a code consultant to come in and update our whole code to be able to implement the policies and the strategies in the comprehensive plan. They may come up with a different zoning category name or a way to change the zoning district names altogether, institute new setbacks for different development types, things of that nature, but that would be based upon what gets identified in the comprehensive plan.
Yeah, if we identify that, hey, we actually can have this wide array that these big cities do, maybe we need more zonings. But as of this point, this gives us a little bit of a protection from the very, very heavy industrial unless we really want to have it there. Go for it.
Just to clarify, some of the heavy uses that we have in M1 today, those, if they were new development, it would be under this new M2, right?
If we pass this, it would have to meet whatever it meets here, that zoning would have to be.
Okay, and they're not gonna be, obviously, they can continue to operate, where they are, but the only time that rezoning might be needed for them is if they wanted to expand their operation.
Yes.
Like physically, have land adjacent or something.
Well, like Seats just added on. Would that be similar to kind of what their situation was where they added a building on to
Yeah,
the
generally
current
speaking,
parcel?
yeah, because they would be expanding the degree of nonconformity by how much how much they're actually using the property for that land use. So yeah, typically a building addition of X number of square feet, or like adding a property next door and expanding into that, or adding a different land use that may not be compatible with that zoning anymore.
Yeah, so sounds like it.
They still have avenues for growth, they have to evaluate when those growth, or when they try to implement that growth, whether or not it's still compliant with the current zoning as it sets.
And for those M1 uses today that operate with conditional use permits, would it impact that in any way?
That's something we'd have to look at a little bit further and talk to Spencer about how do we legally do that? Do we take each individual conditional use permit and look at how do we transfer that over? Or depending upon which uses in the new zone or in the revised M1 zone still require conditional use, we'd have to see how that plays out kind of on a case-by-case basis as kind of almost a zoning transition plan.
Like Ozark's going to be based off, it's already gone through the whole process. So even though they haven't started building, they went through our old M1 with their conditional use permit. To come and pull the rug out from them now would kind of be, I would think, not right. But if they wanted to expand from whatever we have approved, we'd probably have to look at this and see where they land. All right. Yeah, go for it.
Will the new M2, will it
We haven't outlined that yet. My guess is it would be similar, but maybe also have additional buffering requirements. Yeah.
And for the, CUPs, you could potentially just revisit that on, during 1-year anniversaries.
Something we can look at for sure.
Let's move real quick. We have one more that we were gonna look at,
Yep, this one.
the planned overlay.
Yeah, so what we would propose on this one is, currently the way our code is written, we have planned districts, which somebody could add to their development, add to their base zoning, and the base zoning sets all the development standards and allowed uses. And then somebody can request a planned district on top of that to modify some of those development regulations. Building height, setbacks, lot coverage, lot size, things of that nature. Development patterns, block length, things of that nature. But that only deals with our development regulations. It doesn't allow for any flexibility in the land uses approved in that base zoning district. We have another section of the code that allows for a protected overlay district, which goes on top of the base zoning district to outline what land uses can be done on that property. The way the current protected overlay is written, we can only remove land uses from a base zoning district. We can't add land uses to an existing base zoning district. So we had an example recently over on 223rd and Webster ballpark that in essence they could have just been in a C2 or general commercial zoning district, but they wanted to have limited accessory outside storage and screen it appropriately. But in order to accomplish that, we had to create a planned or a protected overlay that was based off of C2, but we called it M1, and then we took out all the other land uses that they weren't going to do that are allowed in M1 or MP, sorry. So we would propose to eliminate this dual process, to have all these acronyms after the base zoning of a property and combine it into a new planned development zoning district, which would allow for flexibility in land uses to permit additional land uses or restrict land uses, but also to modify those development standards I previously mentioned. It does have the ability to have flexibility in permitted restricted land uses and alternative development regulations. It is not meant to just allow somebody to not have to meet the code. It is an alternative way to provide a development that is equal to or better than what our base zoning district standards or a protected overlay would create. So this is not a means to just give us development that is not quality or at the same level we would normally get. It's really intended to just be a different way to accomplish the same or do it better. I likened it to your baking cookies, and our code and our development regulations are what they are, and it produces a limited amount or limited type of cookies. Maybe you just get chocolate chip or oatmeal raisin, and that's it. You get development that looks and feels the same over time, repeats itself. This PD, Planned Development District, allows us to bake different kinds of cookies. M&M cookies, white chocolate cookies, all that are the same quality. They're just different ways of going about doing it. And it really allows the development community and the city to respond to those changing development patterns, but also lock in their development so that they can't change it over time without coming back to the Planning Commission and governing body. So they would have to create planned development standards, so it's in essence creating a unique zoning district and unique code for that based upon our current code. And so those planned development standards would all need to be outlined at the front part of an application, set in stone, and then actually the preliminary development plan that gets approved with it goes along with the zoning ordinance and those planned development standards and lives with that project. And it can't be changed unless it comes back to the Planning Commission or City Council. So development plans don't necessarily expire over time without coming back. So it locks it in for the developer so that they know that, hey, I got this approved, this is what I can develop on the property, which is good for the development community because then they get the assurances they like, minimizing risk to make developing in Spring Hill attractive, but it also gives the Planning Commission, the governing body, city staff, and the residents nearby knowing that this is what is gonna be built on this property. And if anything changes, it has to go back through that same process.
Well, one, don't use cookie analogies because I didn't hear anything you said after that. But secondly, in my opinion, I like this way better than how we had to do that last development, only because in my mind, I don't like seeing M1 on the map. I would rather see C2 plus or a planned development district, just because I don't want to set a precedent of, in certain areas that we have a certain type of zoning. Even though there's layers and layers of coverage there, ideally, we'd have this in place. So does anybody have any questions or feedback on these two types of zoning updates? What was that?
So the M1 was a poor perception.
Yeah.
in both of them as well.
Exactly.
I struggle with that particular setup, having the ability to add and remove land uses, because this whole governing body changes in a pretty regular fashion, and what I think is appropriate now may not be the same opinion that the people that come in after me are going to agree with. And I like the idea of having the flexibility to curate our zoning with the current PO in a way that allows us to help out a business that needs to use their space more efficiently. I like that idea. I like being flexible. I do have concerns with the not having a, hey, this is how we do business, but here's how we can be flexible versus like, if you want, you can just order it, order it a la carte and pick it exactly the way you want it. So for me, if there's not assurances on how we set a standard for when that is used appropriately and when that is not, I don't want it to exist in a way that it gets abused further on down the line, or that it doesn't represent everybody. So that's my struggle. It's one of those situations where if it's good for the goose, it's good for the gander. Everybody here can say right now, I'm going to use this new super flexible tool in the most responsible way possible, but the next people sitting in our chair might choose to help somebody out in a way that may not be necessarily morally correct.
Yep. I think we can address that. Sorry to interrupt if you want to go.
Well, no, I think at the end of the day, it's hard because we can't govern a future governing body. And just like they can't govern us, there's been that happening over the last 5 years too, where it's like, oh, these things were in place, but they're really restrictive. And so we are blocked, or we can't stop something because of this or that. So I think what we're doing is trying to expand it, do the best we can, hope that the people that are put in these positions are doing the right thing. Again, to me, this would have been better for that last one. I don't like having to go super heavy and then pull back, because then, like I said, on paper, in 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, if nothing else gets developed there, and the governing body, when we're all dead and gone, says, oh, well, there's M1 there, we could just keep doing M1 down Webster. I don't think that's probably a great use, but not that they'll do that. It's just, in my mind, that's where my mind goes with it.
Like I said, it's not like I get the optics side of things, and I agree with that wholeheartedly. Seeing anyone on the map, especially some place so close to residential, is concerning to people. But I just want to make sure that we're looking at practical application, not just what it looks like.
And I think that's something we can certainly take that feedback, and as we craft this new zoning district, whether it's intent statements, really hammering home when this can be used, when it's best to be used, when is it not to be used, and then also hammering home those review criteria, making the developer commit to more upfront. It's not a way to just get out of the code. It's also a way to balance that out. So if they're requesting reduced setbacks or a different land use, what are they doing extra to get us back to that equilibrium that our current code would have done? And also making it harder on them, so that if they want to do things quickly and easy, they develop to our base zoning district and follow our codes and rules in existence, but just having that ability to be flexible with all the different development types. But I certainly understand that concern. It's something we'll take into account when we draft it.
When we get to the drafted stage and you're presenting that, if you could have some real life applications, like here's how we could see this being used, here's how we could see this being used.
Yep.
I'd like to see those in comparison. That would help inform my decision for sure.
Absolutely.
Well, and the one way I'm looking at these two also is they're good changes as a stopgap. In my opinion, like he said, when we get the comp plan done, I would even look at reviewing these again with an actual code person saying, you didn't think about this or that for the future. So even I would like to get these done quicker rather than try to make them perfect right now, so that we have protections in the interim. Because as we see, there's new stuff coming at us every day. people are applying for rezonings, and you know, everybody here, including the crowd, wants to have some sort of reassurance that we have things in place that are going to help protect the area as we're figuring out what we're going to do. So to me, this is something imminent to get us by until we kind of get to the end of the year, and the next year we can even maybe enhance them even more. But do we have a consensus that these couple changes would be good in the interim to get us through? And if we do have that, then I would say let's work on it sooner than later. I don't know if you have a timeline on when drafts of these could be ready.
I think our drafts of them are pretty, I'd say they're about 75–80% there.
Okay.
I think we just need to refine that, take into account the feedback we got this evening. Have that, you know, we would have to go through the process of a code change, and the required public hearings and bringing it to planning commission and then to the governing body. But, you know, depending on that timeline, it could be as soon as 6 weeks.
Okay. Also, I think there's going to be some public comment tonight. Let's take that into account also. If there's anything that we didn't think about and they come up and say something, we have a meeting here next week, so we'll be able to kind of respond to those things too, which is
Yep.
great. And then planning commission, same with you. If you hear something that you like from the crowd and you want to have it be addressed, let's do that too. Okay. I know we're getting real close. Sorry, 6:56. So I'm going to adjourn this meeting. But thank you everybody, and look forward to hearing what the public has to say.
Okay, we are, I'm calling the meeting to order. We're gonna start with the pledge. All right, we can do roll. Amy?
Mr. Nace? Mr. Nace?
Here.
Mr. Earhart? Ms. Jones?
Here.
Mr. Arevalo?
Here.
Ms. Crevier?
Here.
Mr. Sly? Ms. Squire?
Here.
Mr. Morse?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Wonderful. All right, so we will open up citizen participation. This is an opportunity for those in attendance to address the planning commission regarding items not on the agenda. First up, we have, oh. I'm so sorry. Yes, I just skipped over approval of agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Perfect. It has been moved and seconded. Do we have, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, motion carries. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6, 0, 0. All right, 6 of us. I can count, guys. Okay, now we will open up citizen participation. Let's see. First on the list, we have Michael Klutz.
How long do we have? 5 minutes? 3
5 minutes.
5? Okay.
Will you please state your name and your address, please?
Yes, my name's Michael Klutz. I live at 18512 West 194th Street.
Thank you.
Nice to see you all. I'm just speaking tonight. We just talked about the comprehensive plan update and how this document really needs to protect our community's future as Spring Hill continues to grow. I don't think this should just dictate what gets built. It needs to guide how residents safely navigate our town and how our local infrastructure is protected over time. I'm asking that 2 key pillars of safe growth be clearly defined in this plan and carried forward into real enforceable policies. First, pedestrian connectivity and safe routes. Cities officially aligned with Safe Streets for All initiative. To honor that commitment, the comprehensive plan needs to establish a clear policy that connected pedestrian infrastructure as a standard expectation for all new development. Right now, we have students crossing major roads like 191st Street near Forest Spring Middle School, and there's no designated or protected crossing infrastructure. As we grow, this plan should prioritize safe, visible crossings and continuous sidewalks, especially around the schools and high traffic corridors. Some of these specific school situations require urgent attention. Their safety is imperative. I mean, I don't think anybody can really disagree with that. Consistency is key. Later on, I know tonight's agenda, you're reviewing the Briarcliff Commercial Center. It's a relatively small 15,000 square foot project requiring a 5-foot sidewalk on Webster Street. Shows there's an expectation that sidewalks are a mandatory part of development. The comprehensive plan just needs to reinforce that standard citywide and make sure it's applied to every developer moving forward. Another is second, industrial accountability and resource protection. Beyond walkability, the comprehensive plan has to provide clear guidance on how we evaluate and zone high-intensity industrial uses. We need clear distinctions between light and heavy industrial uses, like we talked about, based on their real-world impacts like traffic, noise, water demand, and energy consumption. Facilities that have massive continuous infrastructure demands, like large-scale data centers. The plan should explicitly guide those projects toward appropriate heavy M2 industrial zoning districts and require a much higher level of review. This should include policies that require independent impact studies for things like acoustics, environmental impact, and infrastructure capacity before any major rezonings or tax incentives are approved. Finally, I want to address the economic impact of these standards. These steps are not about stopping growth, they're about setting a standard that attracts the right kind of growth. There's a common misconception that to bring in commercial investment, a city has to lower its standards and let developers do whatever they want. I contend the reality is the exact opposite. Enforcing strict, consistent development standards actually attracts high-quality businesses. Good businesses want the certainty of knowing their next-door neighbor will be held to the same high standards rather than having conflicting development goals that could hurt their investment. Ultimately, what drives strong business to an area is rooftops. It's families, safe neighborhoods, and a high quality of life. If we protect those things, the good businesses will follow. As the city updates these critical zoning definitions, we must also ensure the process relies on truly objective counsel. It's not a secret that many corporate law firms and consultants specialize in representing hyperscale developers, actively working to lower industrial zoning standards in communities across the Midwest. We ask the Commission to ensure that the advice shaping this comprehensive plan is completely free from those conflicts of interest, ensuring our rule book is written to protect Spring Hill, not future developers. I respectfully ask that this Commission make pedestrian connectivity a strict expectation, industrial accountability a baseline policy, and independent counsel a guarantee. I believe Spring Hill has an opportunity to lead by example. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. All right. Kurt Vanderpool. Sorry if I mispronounced that.
Oh, no, you're fine.
Please state your name and address.
My name's Kurt Vanderpool, 20012 South Country View Terrace, out in the county. I first off want to say thank you to all of you for your service. I appreciate what you do. It takes time, it takes effort, and I do thank you and applaud you for doing that. I never really wanted to get involved because I work hard, I coach sports, I don't have time. But this recent situation that we've had out in my neck of the woods has brought it to my mind, and I have kids now, grandkids that live in town. I want to protect the future for them. So I want to be involved now. And I appreciate what you all do and the sacrifice that you make. One of the things I think we have the opportunity right now, Spring Hill has taken a bit of a hit this last several months from a reputation perspective. And it centers around trust, right? I think there's some of us that feel like maybe we were deceived about what went on out in our neck of the woods with some land annexation and then the potential for a data center to be out there. It got really hot and heavy. And I want to see trust come back. And I think the comprehensive plan is an opportunity for this commission to really help the community build trust. And I heard some of that tonight with the opportunities to get citizens and county involved in that plan. Transparency is key. It's key. And I don't go to websites because I'm sitting at a desk all day long and my eyes are glued to a monitor. I don't look at websites after that. So ways to have a town crier, right? Ways to get the community involved and to make it appealing for the community to be involved, to be excited about it, generate excitement about it, build excitement about it. Those are things I'm hoping for. I'm curious, as a commission, what is your vision for Spring Hill? What do you want Spring Hill to represent? This last go around with Colossus and data centers, I felt like we were maybe reacting to what could come and help provide financial benefits to the city and the community. What do we want to do to market ourselves? As we develop this comprehensive plan, as we think about our future, how do we then go as a community and go to business leaders and say, this is where you want to be, so that we're not reacting to somebody that says, oh, I've got natural gas, electricity, and water right here within 400 yards of 316 acres. It's a great place for a data center. We shouldn't be reactionary. Let's be proactive. Let's go push. Let's go market ourselves, the great community, the great citizens that we have here. Let's say this is where you want to build. This is where you want to be, because we offer smart people. We offer a lot of people with a lot of capabilities that can help your business to grow. Because let's face it, businesses are in business to make money and have that return on investment. That's my little propaganda speech, I guess. One question I did have, as we were listening earlier about the unified zoning ordinance, and the M1 general industrial and M2 heavy industrial, there was a comment made, and it was that M1 general industrial would be not a lot of noise, not a lot of light. That's very subjective. Okay, I would like to see how can we make that objective, right? Because we hear that, you know, a data center, and I don't mean to keep focusing on that, but it's top of mind. It's a closed loop system for water, so it's not going to use a lot of water. Well, it is. Let's really study that out. And light, the light pollution, if there's lights on 24/7 out in our neck of the woods where it's dark all the time right now, 2 street lights are going to make it really light. So where's the real truly objective measurement of what we're calling not a lot of light, not a lot of noise, as we're understanding these zonings? Okay, so that's just a question I'd ask you to please take that into consideration as we're building and as we're adding definitions to these policies, because we need to live with them for the future, right? So again, I applaud your efforts. I thank you very much for your service, and I'm close to time. Thank you.
Thank you, Kurt. All right, Tammy Knoll.
My name is Tammy Knoll, and I live at 19440 West 222nd Street. Oh, no, 202nd Street. Thank you for having the community input. I think that y'all are much aware that people want to be involved and we want to protect our community. I too am having some concerns with how the M1 and the M2 were presented this evening. Just as the gentleman said before, the statements were that general industrial has very little impact. And he spoke of it all being inside and no traffic. And then he spoke about computer uses. And of course, that brought up data center. We know with very little research that data centers do not have little impact on the community, on the electricity use, the water usage. And it's not just a concern about our bills going up, but it's also about what happens when the water is pumped back into our water treatment centers and where that water goes, and how all the sediment and all of the chemicals that are coming off of those computers go into our water system, and how's all that filtered out, because then that water comes back into our drinking water. There's also the concerns with the aquifers and how those are impacted, and then how that is eventually going to impact nature, livestock. We have farmers, we have cattle, people that have cattle. Those will be affected as well. And so it's not just about bills going up, it's not just about water usage, but it's about how these will affect our health. There's lots of research about how data centers affect anxiety, ADHD, different things health-wise. And so I respectfully ask that y'all institute a moratorium to protect, at least for a certain amount of time, to protect and give the community a sense of safety, that we're not going to have to be constantly worrying about whether or not companies are going to come after people's land and trying to once again have another opportunity to bring a data center to Spring Hill. So, thank you.
Thank you, Tammy. All right, next we have Derek Buckridge.
Derek Buckridge, 20456 West 220th Terrace. I do want to start by echoing what Kurt said. I really appreciate y'all being your service, and to the council members that stuck around, that says a lot. We appreciate that. And then in the trail building world, we earn our dirt, so you all earned your dirt by showing up as a community tonight, so we appreciate that. Comprehensive plan, I think a lot of stuff got nailed tonight. I feel a lot better about it. That being said, through the RFP process, I really recommend doing an RFQ. It's a recommendation for qualifications, and you can really drill down on who is the qualified candidate to do this job. I'd encourage you to look at other cities that are similar to ours. You look at Andover, right outside of Wichita. They got really hit with the Wichita push, and they were forced to grow really, really quick. They just got their first apartment complex, but they're a growing city. So looking at some of those cities that are similar to us, we're not similar to Overland Park. We're not similar to Lenexa. Like, we need to really reach out, drill down that RFQ, and really make sure we're getting a qualified individual to come here and design this. I was going to hit on surveys, but he backed me up. I deal with a lot of master plan surveys. The sticky tabs still work. We had so much involvement with the sticky tabs this year for parks. It was huge. So definitely drill into that. I think when we're talking about these comprehensive plans and everything, we need to make sure there's a saying in parks that if you try and design a park for everybody, you're going to design a park for nobody. You're never going to make anybody happy. So as we dive into this comprehensive plan, let's not set our goals so unattainable like we have all these past years. We're never going to get hundreds of miles of paved trail through here and all these imaginary connectors. Like, we need better pedestrian access. We need to make these connections, but that's where those developers come in. Right now, developers can come in and they can pay out to not have to put in that paved trail, to not have to put in that playground. That needs to go. And we need to have a standard, like this 4-foot wide paved trail that goes through a neighborhood. That's not user friendly. You have people that you can't pass 2 bikes on something. People are getting pushed off that. Like, let's update our standard on these requirements. The 191st crosswalk keeps coming up. That's a bust on us for development. Like, if you're putting a subdivision that close to a school, there should be no questions asked that they're going to be required to put that in. And I can go all day on crosswalks and stuff. As we talk about our developers, I think a lot of developers are here and they're building because we are still on the 2005 and electrical code, and we're on the 2006 IBC. And we have a great codes that are in place now. I used to literally walk, doing an electrical inspection, and I would sometimes be teaching that inspector about electrical work as we were doing it. There's a great, competent group in there right now, and I feel really good about the way they're working through our permit process. But to be able to back that up, you need an updated code. We are in 2026. There is no reason we should be on 20-year dated codes. Other than that, that's about all I got. Again, I appreciate you all. It's connectivity. Like, obviously I'm a bike guy. There's a lot of opportunities for Greenway grants. There's a lot of stuff. We have streamways. We have all kinds of access. Like, let's drive and find those grants. County has a $200,000 grant that goes out to a shovel-ready project. I've mentioned it to the rec, and I've also mentioned it to the city. Let's get a project ready. The county is here to help. I mean, we see it all over the place. We just need their help, right? So, thanks.
Thank you, Derek. All right, that is everyone that's signed up. Is there anyone else that would like to address the commission?
We're fighting to get up here. Bill Peterman, 19431 West 200th Street. I'm glad I'm following him. That was great. Been here over 12 years, still fighting the same thing, sidewalks, right? Is that a surprise? I brought up at the city council meeting, last one, that we still don't have the sidewalks that we was told we were getting in the Woodland Crossing. And I was told they had permits, but the weather's been causing them problems to not be able to get them in. They've been able to pour driveways and sidewalks inside their complex, but they can't do the one outside. It's kind of funny how they do what they want. Oh, we've got an excuse. Well, it wasn't an excuse for what you did in there. Let's start going back. Let's start putting the hammer on these people. I'm tired of these developers coming in, oh, we own your town. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
Good evening, John Waterman, 21110 West 186 Terrace, Dayton Creek. I spoke to a couple times here the last couple months to, you all, and thank you for the opportunity to do that, and to the governing body, the city council. About this exact topic, the comprehensive plan. So I mean, tonight was awesome. I love the engagement from everyone. It sounds like we really have a plan together. I'm a guy who studies Gantt charts for a living, just part of the job. So I look at the schedule that's kind of been laid out and presented in its kind of rough form. Not a Gantt chart yet, but I can get it there. I see, we're at April 2nd, and we're looking to have a determination for a consultant picked by June 1st. So in my estimate, that's just about 2 months. What a great opportunity to do what Kurt said. And all of us, not just the planning commission, not just the city council. I mean, you have the responsibility, and kind of taking that oath to bear that responsibility to promote what the citizens want. But it's the citizens as well. We all have to have a vision for what we want to see, the city look like in 15, 20, 50 years. So what a great opportunity for 2 months while we're waiting for the consultant to be chosen to really understand and develop what each of us wants to see. And maybe in the 2 months we can get some plans in place to actually have some of these networking opportunities to get these lists generated. So, and to you all as council members, or as commissioners and council members to really have and kind of filter through and come up with a 10, 20, 30 item kind of bullet points, the high level things that all come through and sift up to the top. I mean, that's a fantastic opportunity. So we're ready to execute. Once June 1st hits, we tell we don't tell them. We provide the data to the consultant. What the marching orders for you to do. Yes, we want their input on what what works, and what the experiences have been in their other planning, but here are our desires. How can you filter and weave those into the fabric of the comprehensive plan that we want to adopt? So I think that intentionality with the schedule helps us really hit these milestones. It really does. I mean, we can really get creative with our Gantt chart to hit these dates that the mayor kind of set forth. I want to be involved with this process. I want to be as accessible as I can to help where I can. So please reach out to me. And I will try to help how I can. So thank you very much.
Thank you, John.
Hello, my name is Sarah Grady. My address is 15690 West 199th Street. And I had a couple questions, I guess more comments, thoughts that while we were talking about the comprehensive plan earlier. And the first thing is that I didn't hear addressed is what's going to be different about using this new firm that we're, looking into from the first time, because I assume the first time they didn't think it was going to be as bad of a situation as it was, you know, because they chose them. So I guess as a taxpayer, I know we spent money on the plan and, or the firm helping us get the comp plan together. I just guess I'm curious, or I guess to have in mind, that you guys would have in mind, like, well, what is going to make this firm better? That, like, what did we not ask last time? What did we not think of the first time to get us in the predicament that we were in? So I guess just to be wary and be alert and try to come up with, like, how are we going to make sure we choose the right firm? And the second thing is are we able to see a draft of that plan, since, you know, tax dollars were spent? Is there a way that that could be seen? I know it could cause confusion to the public if it's like, hey, we're working on a comp plan, and then all of a sudden people see a comp plan, you know, but if it's listed as draft, like, just to see where we were in 2010, the one that was posted, the website said during this data center situation that a comprehensive plan was coming, and to be coming in the spring of 25, and then that's what the website said, I guess, when we looked it up. But then all of a sudden, you know, it was like, oh, pencils down, we're not going to work on it, or we're not going to, you know, get it published, we're going to take a step back, adjust, and then come forward with a new one. So I guess I'm just curious if we could see the draft, like see the one that the website was talking about when it said spring of 2025. I don't know if a core request would need to be done for that, but I would be willing to do that if that's possible. And the next thing leads me to my next point is core requests. So I'm not directing this at you because I know that you guys aren't the ones that fulfill those, but as a resident, we do not feel, or I do not, and others, that our core requests are being answered. It feels a little bit like we're playing a game, like these records are not, we're not allowed to have access to them. It's not just the residents, it's also attorneys and the media, and I just find that odd because it goes back to the trust thing that was mentioned earlier. Is it's hard once you lose someone's trust to gain it back. It's way better to just be truthful up front. So I just find that concerning that core requests would be denied. Why not provide them? I know some of them cannot by law, but if it just seems like if they can be denied, they're just denied. We were just having a really hard time getting records, and I feel like as a resident, they are records we should be privy to. So that's just kind of a thing to put out there. I know others are feeling the same in the community, and I'm the voice for that. And then the next thing is, or the final thing, is just of Spring Hill as a whole. I almost feel like the words that we heard earlier tonight that we opened up with was, you know, develop, develop, develop. Like, how do we attract new development? But we're Spring Hill, Kansas. We're not a major metropolitan area. So is our identity all of this new development, or is it a small rural community where a lot of us have moved to get away from development and big city? So I guess just from the residents, we live here, we moved here because we love that. No one's saying that we don't need anything new, any whatsoever, keep it small. But I think just as a whole, it's like, well, what is our identity of Spring Hill? What do we want it to look like? Do we want to take in dollars for something that's offered because, well, it is going to offer a lot of money and we can do X, Y, Z with it, but at a cost, because everything's at a cost. It's a cost to how our city feels, how the neighborhoods feel, how I guess just the city as a whole, how it feels to all the residents and the charm. And there are some developments that you don't get back the charm and the small town feel once it comes in. So I think that's it. I just had a random assortment of thoughts. But thank you all for your time tonight. And thank you for all of the work that you put in to better our city.
Thank you, Sarah.
Can I get like 20 more seconds? So Michael mentioned something and it popped back into my mind. So we're talking about the Briarcliff, Derek Buckard's 20456 West 220 Terrace. So what's being voted on tonight for the construction site off Webster, that's literally adjacent to parkland. So I think there needs to be some kind of discussion on how this is sitting, how it's backing up to that property line. Cause you might have a walking trail 10 feet off that property line, and then if that's a whole entire gravel lot, it gets windy out here. It's Spring Hill, right? So you're gonna have all that dust flying through a whole entire community park. So I think that's something to think about. If we're gonna put somebody on a main drag where we're trying to focal point, like, let's not put gravel down. I think that's an easy task. I don't know if nobody can address it, but she had also mentioned the master or the previous comprehension plan. That was approved, that was paid for. There's not a current draft right now. This is just the talks to start a new comprehensive plan. So that the existing comprehensive plan has been in place since what, 2008 or 2000, was it 2005? So, and that's been online this whole time, right? So just to clarify, okay, thanks.
Gary, you said Briar.
Well, it's the
Which one you were talking about, I'm sorry.
so the previous meeting, it was a discussion to go C1 or the C2 plus.
Oh, with the
P.
overlay.
With the PO, right? And so the conversation of the last meeting was they're gonna put up barrier fencing, it was gonna look really pretty from Webster, but it's still the back half that's still gonna be butting up against that park. Yeah, so I mean, it's just looking at the plot plan, I mean, and when you're building something like that big, I mean, what's another $100,000 of concrete, right? So, do it right the first time kinda thing?
I thought I heard Briar Cliff or Briarwood, so I was.
Right.
Alright, yep.
Sorry.
Thank you, Derek.
We got time for one more?
Sure.
My name is Jason O'Kane. I live at 18804 Skyview Lane in Foxwood Ranch Development. Everybody's been talking about the data center. I've been in meetings with lots of people behind me about data center things, and a lot of people are telling negative side effects. Everybody knows the negative side effects of data centers. I think we've all heard that time and time again. Everybody here's been doing the research constantly on it. I think a proposal to the Planning Commission, the council members that are still here, that data center part of M1 was added in October. I think that was correct. Somewhere around there. They added it around that thing. Well, if they added it, can we just remove it? Can we just vote on that and just remove it? Liberty, Independence, other places are having data centers get put in. Why don't we let and see what's going on there before we decide to put something like that in our community? I really like what she was saying about who are we as Spring Hill? What do we see ourselves as? I think that's a good question when you go around and start asking people about this comprehensive plan on who are we as a community? I think that's a great question when you go around. Coming to talk to people, engage people. You guys were talking about engagement a lot. Engage them by face-to-face. My community would probably welcome a face-to-face. Without seeing, just talk to our HOA. I think half the city has my email and telephone number by now. So you can definitely get a hold of me. I think that would be a real good thing to get. I mean, there's 192 houses in my development. Dayton Creek is scheduled to have like 400. There's lots of other HOAs around here that you could get, and you could directly communicate with somebody. I think that would be the best way to do it. And we could always invite neighbors that aren't in that community to that meeting. So I think that would be a great way to engage people. I appreciate people talking about the sidewalk or the crosswalk at 191st going to the school. I've brought that up to the council. I've brought that up to many people. I know they're looking at different ways, and there's a lot of complications of putting one in there. I hear there's some new developments to get that done sooner, which would be appreciated before we're questioning why didn't we do it sooner when something bad happens. I mean, I live there. I have children that go to those schools, and they ride the bus because I won't let them cross that street. It's a 45-mile-an-hour zone. you know, with no sidewalks, just ditches. So, also, another thing that I would like to bring up is, I'm not sure how to do this, and I've talked to many people about this. I was just in conversation with Mr. Spears about it. A street light at 191st and Skyview Lane. I've requested plat drawings of the lighting plan of 2 and 3. That's all we get. We don't have the plat drawing of 1 that shows 191st and Skyview. There's no street light at that entrance, and it's dark. It's a safety concern to the residents. Nobody seems to be responsible for this street light. They say that our builder is not responsible. The city doesn't put in street lights in developments. Evergy is waiting for somebody to pay for it. And nobody can tell us a direction to go. I've been to Evergy. I've been to the city. I've emailed people. Like, we are literally at a standstill on that. And we desperately need a street light at that entrance. Our other entrance on Mahaffey has one. We just feel like that was left out. And I've talked to many people. I'm just gonna keep talking about it until we get a street light. I have no idea who else to talk to. So, yeah, so just back to the first thing, I think you guys should just remove data centers from that M1, M2, whatever you guys wanna call it. Just get rid of it. And then come back to it and let's talk about it again before you go adding it in there. That way, like you said, these people can have peace of mind. That way we don't have to worry about it. I think everybody would appreciate that. I think everybody would see that as a trust building process of, you know, whatever, but beep. Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, that's all I had to say. So appreciate it.
Thank you, Jason. I know, I'm like, oh my gosh, are we on fire? Oh, that scared me.
Gotta keep an eye on it.
All right.
Can the speaker give us a warning when the time is almost?
No.
Hi, my name's Mike Engeman. My address is 15259 West 193rd Terrace, over on Lackman. So, you know, in the last 45 days, I would say that I've probably become an expert on data centers and understanding what goes on with them, helping organize a lot of this rowdy crew. And, you know, I could give you facts. I could tell you, you know, things like data centers, 70% of data centers that come in actually would come in whether you gave them a tax abatement or not. That I have studies for that. I have studies on water usage and the negative effects of senior water rights that they ask for, which means that they prioritize their data set. The cities are required to prioritize them getting water for their data center over people, which is scary at the least. At least it is to me. I could, you know, talk about studies that show that are, and these are all done by universities. They're not just made up numbers. That I have studies that will show that in Texas, data centers in small towns, the average they brought in the first 12 months up to 450 jobs. However, over the 8-month past construction, jobs typically go down by 750 because people are moving out of those small towns to get away from data centers. So, you know, I could go all night on facts because I have them. They're stuck in my head. I can't get them out. I read nonstop. But, you know, what I'm really here to talk about is the people, all of these people. You guys have an opportunity right now to utilize this group of people that are highly engaged. You know, there's so many smart people in this group. I'm just a lowly contractor with a degree from K-State. You know, I used to build trails for the state of Kansas. I've built hundreds of miles of trails. I've organized thousands of groups and people. So, you know, it's not new to me, but I see these people and it's like, you know, it's inspiring. I've made new friends, which I will be friends with them forever. And, you know, I think it's brought the community together. And, you know, as Derek said, there are things that these people could help him with. They could write grants. Everybody needs grant writers, things like that. So, you know, at the end of the day, it's all about these people. And, you know, that's really what I wanted to say is utilize what you've got while it's here, and hopefully keep this momentum going and build something good out of what people feared was bad. So, thank you.
Thank you very much, Mike.
Hi there.
Hi.
I'm Katie Harcher, 15051 West 191st Street. Everything that all these people said is just wonderful, and again, thank you for your time. But one thing I didn't hear, I have a friend who built data centers, and she was like, "Oh, that's not that bad," and I'm like, "Oh," she goes, "But not there." She goes, "The infrastructure is not there." She goes, "How?" She goes, people cannot just say this is going to be zoned for this without looking at the infrastructure. She said your corner road would not allow trucks to get the material in. As she was an engineer, she said, "I don't even see how that would be possible." So I'm against the data center. I'm against putting industrial places in rural areas, but that was her main concern. She said this would be an engineer nightmare if Spring Hill just starts putting commercial lots in where these residential areas are that don't have the infrastructure that are built for them. And we like not having the infrastructure built for all these big, gigantic things. I mean, you're looking at, you know, broken road. I mean, I have a culvert near my house just because the roadway is wide. It is falling off. I just had to give Johnson County a huge portion of my land so they can put the proper culvert in. I mean, you're going to be looking at projects like that everywhere. So as you are rezoning these areas, be aware that you're going to have to do so much other work, like sidewalks, you know, roundabouts, all this other stuff. Don't put the cart before the horse when you're looking at this comprehensive plan. And thank you for your time.
Thank you, Katie. Anyone else like to come up? All right, we are going to close. Oh, I lost my sheet here. We're going to close citizen participation. And we will, let's see, move on to the approval of minutes from March 5th meeting.
I move that we approve the minutes of March 5th, 2026.
I'll second that move.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, motion passes 6-0-0. All right, we'll move on to item 2, which is the lot split application. LS 26 or -26-1, 304 and 306 North Franklin Street.
All right. Good to go?
Yes, sir, go for it.
Perfect. Yes. My name is Ian Truffren, City Planner. I'm presenting application PL 26-1, the lot split application for 304, 306 North Franklin Street. This is an existing duplex structure that is simply being condo divided down the middle. The property is going to be served by City of Spring Hill Sewer and Water One Water. The applicant is Daryl Voss of Aruba Homes. The proposed split meets all City of Spring Hill subdivision standards, and because of that, staff supports this supports this application. Yeah.
Okay. I know this property is over near my grandma's house, so I drive by there often.
Sure.
This is are the other properties around there the same, like they've been split and they're all
Yeah, the whole block is
individual?
pretty much like
Okay,
that.
that's what I thought. Yeah, I just drove by there yesterday and I was like, oh, okay, I know exactly what this is. So, okay, thank you.
Yep.
Does anyone else have any discussions or questions? We'll let you catch back up here,
Sorry.
Chuck. Do you have any
Check
questions or
support.
anything about the lot split?
No, I looked at, on Ames and all of the other properties around it are split similarly, so it's very consistent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I didn't have any questions. I think it looks pretty similar to everything that's around that area.
Mm-hmm. If there's no other questions or concerns, could I entertain a motion?
Sure, I'll make the motion. So I move to recommend approval of application LS-26-1, 304 and 306 North Franklin Street, lot split to the Spring Hill governing body, including any conditions as presented in the staff report.
All right, it has been moved and seconded. We will start on the left, for all those in favor.
Aye.
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 All right, motion passes 6-0. All right, moving on to item 3, the preliminary plat application, PP-25-10, Brycliff Commercial Center.
Yes, so this is a 5.5 acre commercial subdivision. They're looking at 2 commercial lots with 2 tracks, one at the north and one at the very south. Both are for stormwater detention. The property is currently zoned a mix of C2 to the south and MP Industrial Park with the PO protective overlay, which we've been talking so much about, up at the north. Access is available off of Webster Street to the south, and the internal drives are all private. There is a portion of right-of-way being dedicated to the western side of the property as part of a future extension of 219th Street to the north. That improvement to the road is not happening with this application. It's just setting aside right-of-way for a future improvement to extend that road, just to kind of clarify. A full traffic study will be required in the future as the southernmost lots develop, but with this one, as far as I'm aware, it was not required due to the small kind of scale and footprint of what's being proposed. With that, I can stand for any questions, but staff is supportive. Oh, one more thing. Spring Hill is providing the sewer, and Water One is providing water. So, thank you.
Thank you.
So Ian, when 219th connects through this property, do you kind of have a plan of what direction it will be going? Because it kind of curves down right now.
Yeah, so that's just matching kind of the existing curve of the road, and that kind of tracks back. Eventually, it straightens out until it reaches Webster, then kind of tees back in. So it does a little bit of a serpent, and then straight down, and then kind of curves to the east as it connects up to Webster at the very bottom of the property.
So the only right-of-way needed then on this lot is just that little curved portion on the
That's
western?
correct.
Okay, yeah, gotcha.
Yeah, as the other 2 properties to the south come in for final plating, that's when that will be dedicated.
So just so I understand, so for the most part, I know you said a little serpentine, but it's gonna essentially follow that, what looks to be a tree line potentially, or that property break?
Yeah, it's a head road.
Essentially, and then meet up with Webster. Okay, I just wanted to make sure that I had that.
That's correct. In fact, I actually have
Envisioned.
a footprint of that here. I'll pull up. Just ignore all the details on the actual
Oh, I'm looking at
side. Don't look at that. But this right here, you can kind of see the footprint, how it serpentines a little bit.
Oh, okay.
And it comes back down eventually before teeing. And
Okay.
Webster down there.
All right, perfect. Thank you very much for clarifying that.
And so it looks like the existing water feature on the property will get moved east a little bit to be a detention basin?
Yeah, I think I can have the applicant's engineer kind of speak to it a little bit more, but it will become a detention basin. Yeah. You want to speak to it?
I was joking about the water feature, but, I mean, but I'm curious, like, it looks like you're going to move it, especially to make way for the road.
Yeah, Todd Allen Brand, Renaissance Infrastructure Consulting, 102 Abbey Avenue, Kansas City, Kansas. Yeah, we're using the main, where the water is actually at today in the pond, we're kind of keeping that pond the same.
Okay.
We're not really moving it, we're reshaping it, but we are, making sure that we meet the requirements off the right of way, so it doesn't interfere with, sidewalks or any future items that might be adjacent to the right of way. So we're reshaping it and cleaning it up so we can use it for detention.
And is that the only, I thought I heard Ian refer to basins plural, but is that the only?
Yeah, so the track that's against Webster will be detention basin as well, and it won't be required until the lot closest to Webster is developed.
Okay.
Then we'll need to construct that. And we're still a little bit in discussion. Right now, we've showed it and designed it as an open detention basin, but we might revisit that and make it underground, potentially. And then that way it creates some little different green space and, gives us the ability to make some adjustments on the parking where we realize that it would take probably a replat to do some of that, so we're aware of that stuff.
On, sorry if I'm not fully aware of this, but on a detention basin, what are the parameters, I guess, or perimeter that to be put around it?
What's gonna be around it?
Yeah,
It's
like-
just, it'll just be grass. With
I
some
guess I meant like
landscaping.
fencing or,
No, there's no fencing. There will be fencing at the time the road comes in, is when fencing would probably need to be addressed.
There's
Okay.
a lot of existing landscaping too.
Yeah, landscaping. I mean, we've got landscaping around it, trees and
Okay.
where we can plant them and not impact the detention basin.
Okay,
Or the
okay.
function of the basin, I should say.
Thank you.
And then, one of the members of the public mentioned this being a gravel lot. Is that correct?
Only where the storage yard is. The rest of the site is gonna be curb and gutter. I think that'll come up later on, probably in the site plan, where you'll see that.
Okay.
But it's planned to be curb and gutter, asphalt, or potentially could be concrete. I don't know if the developers have decided if they're gonna go with concrete or asphalt, but at the minimum, it'll be asphalt with concrete 2-foot curb and gutters. And then the storage yard or the laydown yard where they'll keep their equipment that's not being used or extra materials that'll be a gravel yard. And then inside that gravel yard will be a covered building to protect some of the items that they don't want to get, weathered and protected from the weather and elements and such.
Thanks. Cindy, you're gonna ask about any of your usual? Okay.
What? Go for it, she says.
No, I don't have any further questions.
I don't think I do either.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
All right. If we have no further questions or discussion, I will entertain a motion.
I'll go ahead and motion preliminary plat application to be approved and move forward.
All right, it has been moved and seconded. We will start on the left.
Aye.
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 All right, motion passes 6-0-0. All right, we are moving on to number 4, final plat application, FP-25-17, Brycliff Commercial Center.
As the final plat application for this project, staff finds that there's no differences between the preliminary plan that you just saw. Because of that, staff does recommend approval for this.
Okay, thank you.
Ian, do you have any estimate, or maybe the applicant obviously would know this, but of what percentage of the lot would be gravel versus hard surface?
I could get that to you probably within the next 5 to 10 minutes.
Okay.
Off the top of my head.
To do the math.
Yeah.
But okay, so looking at it, I'm looking at the more detailed.
I will say it would probably be best if we save this part of the conversation for when we get to the site plan application.
Okay.
Just to prevent
Okay.
mixing
Got
words.
it.
Yeah.
Got it. So just still the final plat now versus preliminary.
Yeah.
So I think you answered most of our questions in the initial discussion that we had last month, or 2 months ago. When was that?
Are we allowed to ask questions?
I don't believe so. Sorry.
I guess I have one question with, being storage that we looked at for water runoff, since we're protecting the pond and the waterway. Do we have to worry about any of the storage supplies with water runoff from rain and whatnot affecting our water?
So I think that'll be another probably good question for the site plan, because that's when we'll get into site specifics. Yeah, we'll kind of touch on all that. This is just the property division at this point.
I move that we recommend to City Council FP 25 17 with any recommendations stated.
I'll second it.
All right. It's been moved and seconded. We will start on the left.
Aye.
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 All right. Motion passes 6-0-0.
Okay. This is where we get to have fun talk.
Site plan.
Now we can talk, yes. So yeah, application SP 25-11, this is the site plan application for Briarcliff Commercial Center. The applicant's proposing a 14,800 square foot office building with exterior laydown storage to the north. Within that exterior storage area, which is going to be gravelly paved, there's also going to be a lean-to kind of shed-like structure for covered storage of vehicles and materials that they don't want exposed to the elements. The application meets all development standards that are set forth within the UZO. They're not requesting any modifications to what we have. The building itself is going to be constructed. I'm not sure. Yeah, perfect. And also, we got this really awesome elevation panel that the applicant was so kind to bring in. But up there, it's going to be mostly stucco as well as cobblestone facade on the front and sides. That front is facing southward and the sides are facing east and west. There is a dark bronze aluminum canopy over the entrance at the southern facade, as well as a little kind of sitting area on the western facade. Kind of flipping back over, well actually, one more thing. There is a parapet wall at the very top to provide screening for the roof-mounted mechanical equipment, which goes beyond our standards. So that's nice. Going back to the site itself, though, there will be fencing and landscaping to buffer that exterior storage facility. I'll pull up a landscape plan for us to kind of look at together. The applicant is meeting or exceeding all landscaping requirements associated with that, and they're incorporating. I think we have a more recent one than that, maybe. So this more recent plan, which is part of the submittal, includes additional landscaping on the western side of that exterior laydown storage, as well as the northern and eastern. So that's kind of there was some attention paid to that, and as well as some existing landscaping to be protected out there on the western edge of the property. For the time being, at least until that road comes through, we'll see how that kind of goes with the public improvement, but there will be screening provided on the sides that will be either abutting other properties or visible from the right-of-way. Yeah, there's going to be an opaque fence attached with that. Exterior storage is going to be within that fenced-in gravel laydown storage area. Parking requirements are all met. That's about all that I got. Any questions, I'd be happy to answer. Staff does recommend approval for this.
Just to make sure I'm interpreting this plan correctly, but it looks like the detention basin is to the west of the fenced-in gravel lot, right?
That's correct. It's outside of the fenced-in area.
Okay.
Yep.
And so that kind of provides some natural buffer in addition to the landscaping, in addition to the existing foliage there on the west side between this lot and the neighborhood.
Yeah, you have some pretty good spatial buffering just in terms of distance between the two, yeah, and then the existing landscaping and what's being added. I will say that detention basin is going to dip down, so I'm not sure what the elevations are compared to either side. But at the very least, yeah, there will be like a spatial separation.
Yeah, and there's there's a basin there now, so this will be an improvement on that. How's it?
Got landscape thing.
Yeah, it's down at the bottom here. If I can make it all fit. Yeah, not without making it super unreadable. Oh gosh. Was there a specific key that you're curious about?
I'm just curious what they are and how long they're gonna take to
Grow.
grow up.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a mix of deciduous, evergreen, ornamental.
It must be on the wrong set.
We do have minimum caliper requirements for when they place
Right,
them.
we
But
talked about that with the next change.
yeah. Yeah, I would kind of independent of this application, but it would be nice to see some changes to how we handle invasive species and things. But
Yes.
There is a really nice mature tree line though on the
Mhm.
north and the west, which will be preserved, which is great.
yeah.
I'll go ahead and revisit my previous question. With not knowing what's stored on the lot, are we worried about any runoff of water from that material, equipment, or whatever is stored?
So I will let the applicant speak to that, or Allison.
I can.
I guess if
I can kind of start it off, and if I'm missing anything, they're welcome to provide that. So in the stormwater study included calculations for the detention basin itself. Also a requirement with the stormwater regulations that they were under at the time of the stormwater study. They also had to look at stormwater quality. So they had to put in stormwater treatment controls as part of that. And as we pointed out, that there is a space between the edge of the gravel lot and the detention basin. There's going to be trees, shrubs, grass, all of that that's going to help filter any runoff that comes from the gravel lot into the detention basin. So all of that was included in that stormwater study with the detention volumes, the stormwater treatment, and then yes, there is a buffer strip that is located between the gravel lot and the detention pond. And some of the sediment will be, if there is any sediment that moves into the detention pond, that will settle out over time. So I will let RIC provide any additional information. Todd, if I missed anything?
Todd Allenbrand, Renaissance Infrastructure Consulting. So Allison hit it, hit it right on. So between the gravel lot and the basin, it's essentially a filter strip. So it collects any sediment before it gets into the basin, also gives a chance to clean some of that stuff as the water goes across. And not only that, but the gravel doesn't go all the way to the north property line, so it's pulled back. So if there's anything that runs down there, there's another strip. You have grass, it'll catch another filter strip, and then eventually it all migrates to the west, because that's naturally the way it wants to go once it gets to the hedgerow. And like it was brought up, we're trying to preserve any trees that are on that north property line, but then just fill it in with extra planting just to shield some of the neighbors around. I mean, I think it's, to me personally, I'm not a landscape architect, but I think it's got a lot of plantings. I mean, granted, when they first get put in, everybody's aware they don't really look that great until they mature, but I think the plantings are going to be beneficial. I mean, we really wanted to make sure we screened around that yard. And if we feel the combination with the trees, the landscaping, and the fencing will handle a lot of that. And plus, we tried to tuck it into a spot and confine it the best we could. So.
That's great.
Yeah.
I really like the building facade and the elevation of the building. Seems very attractive.
Yes.
Pretty excited to see that, just the mix of materials, the awnings. And I was pretty psyched on the parapet wall until you just said it was the applicant who is doing that on their own volition, and it's not a requirement. So, I mean, I think that might be something we add in the future, because I know other cities require that, and it's nice because you don't see the mechanical on the roof.
Yeah, architectural standards are something that we want to kind of look at here.
Yeah.
There's a whole lot of stuff that trying to prioritize it for sure.
Yep. But it seems like a very thoughtful design, both the building but also the site.
Mhm.
So I appreciate that.
Yeah, I agree. I think it looks really nice. Any more questions, discussion?
Cindy, tornado shelters? You're good? Okay.
All right, I'll entertain a motion if there's no more.
I recommend approval of the application SP 25 11.
I'll second it.
All right, there's been a motion and a second. Do we have, or I guess I'll start on the left.
Aye.
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 All right, motion passes 6-0. All right, that brings us to discussion. Ian, welcome back.
Forgot that was me. All right. Let me pull this up real quick. Okay, so at the March 12th, 2026 City Council meeting, there were no agenda items. And at the March 26th City Council special meeting, 2 items related to community development were approved. The final plat for Hidden Hills 4th plat, as well as the rezoning from C2 to MPPO of the Briarcliff Commercial Project. That's all.
Awesome.
Or wait, that was my announcement.
Oh, redo it all. All right, that was your announcement?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, does anybody else have any discussion? Were those all your announcements, Ian?
That's it.
Oh, okay, okay. I wanted to make sure I wasn't cutting you off.
You're okay.
Does anyone else have any discussion since we slipped past that?
Any other staff members have any announcements or thing? I just wanted to comment about how much I appreciate seeing the community participate tonight and speak up. I'd say a lot of your concerns are things that we probably share, but a lot of those, you know, it's not our purview necessarily because we are the planning commission. We're just an advisory body of volunteers to the, you know, for the city council. So definitely, you know, keep your voices heard, and the city council is a great audience for a lot of the things you guys had to share. So I appreciate it, and I missed out getting to know you guys because I'm up here and I can't talk to you without having to recuse myself. But what else can I say about planning commission? But you know, our job is just to make sure that the developments that are being proposed, you know, are in line with the comp plan, of course, which we talked about tonight, and is going to be updated, which is a great opportunity for us all to influence what that says. I think it was Sarah who was asking to see the draft. I don't know that you want to see that draft. It was really bad from the previous consultant. I don't recall if that was ever public, but I know, you know, we saw a draft at one point that was shared with us, but it was really boilerplate from a you know, other city, and it really was not very good. So what I heard tonight in our work session is that, you know, we're going to try to leverage some of that, but really going back to the starting line, but also trying to push it through quickly. So I think that's good, and that's a great opportunity. And as you guys know from the work session, we also talked about the city staff mentioned the idea of adding a new industrial zoning. So that's another opportunity to influence, you know, what is included or excluded in those new categories. It's like, I'll just make a general comment, and this is kind of a part of my stump speech, but I'm the county representative on the planning commission. Normally there's 2 county representatives. The Miami County seat is empty. I'm the Johnson County representative. So I always express my appreciation to the city for having county representatives, because those of us who live in the unincorporated areas, we are in the expansion area of the city, and someday we will probably be a part of the city. And what the city does impacts our lives and our investments in our property and so on. And, you know, we may not pay city taxes, but we drive on the same roads, we go to the same schools, we shop in the city. And, you know, eventually, you know, we'll probably be a part of the city. And so it's really important to basically show consideration for established residents, especially large lot rural properties, you know, and people who were there first. And so have thoughtful development. The other side of that, though, is that I've lived here 16 years on 20 acres. It's not a question of if development is happening, it's just a question of when and what. And so the opportunity is to influence that. I think that's all. I'll spare you the story about my high school, which was Shawnee Mission North, and it was called Shawnee Mission Rural when it was built in the 1920s. And Shawnee Mission North is anything but rural today. And none of us will live this long, but I wouldn't be surprised if, 80 years from now, Spring Hill is similar, where this is like the old part of town or something. So it's, again, it'll happen. It's just a question of influencing it for future generations and making it the best legacy we can leave for the future generations.
Well, I'll echo off of Mr. Morris that having sat here for a number of years, that it's a pleasure to see the audience come. It's also a pleasure that you articulate kindly and with heart and love for the town that you guys have moved into, because it's not always been that way when the audience is here. And those are really hard times for those of us that sit up here when it's a mad or irate crowd. So the comments that you made tonight were very well heard and articulated very kindly and respectfully, and I appreciate that as well as I know the rest of the board does. I have to say that I had to giggle and smile inside, and I kind of looked over at Kendra at one point, and I don't know if she noticed me, when somebody said that the town is small and charmed and quaint, and are we gonna let it continue to grow? And we want to keep it small. Do we want to keep it small? And I kind of giggled because we've been here 40 plus years, and Todd Allenbrand that just left, Derek and Kendra can speak to how much it has grown and the population and how much it has changed. When we moved here, the population was 1,200 people. So that growth and keeping it small just makes me giggle. I love that people that move in think that it's still small and quaint and a charming little town. So that makes me giggle. And I have to say that I'm thrilled to see all of you want to get involved. Please don't lose that desire. Please don't lose that desire. It does a mama heart good to see Derek, Todd Allenbrand, and Kendra, who were babies when we were here, and then watch them graduate and grow their own families and become highly involved in the community. That is amazing. So thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I moved to Spring Hill at the ripe old age of 1 back in 1989. Please don't do the math. And it's interesting to hear the outside perspective that it does still feel like a small town. Because it has grown so much. And so it's nice to hear that it has kept its charm. I definitely appreciate that, because sometimes I drive into town and I'm like, oh, look at our little town. It's so big. I just love this. Like, just because, I mean, granted, I would love a drive-through of anything, guys. Anything, please. But I just love to see that it's growing, but as responsibly as it can. And there has been some irresponsible growth in the past, but we're working really hard. As I know our governing body is working really hard, our staff is working really hard. We are working really hard to try and make it as responsible as possible, and respectful to the community and the citizens as possible, because we have lived here for a long time. And even though some of us didn't grow up here, like Chuck was saying, you've been here for 16 years now, you said? And so that's a long time. You've seen a lot of growth too and change. And so we are very mindful of how it's changing and how it's growing and how that affects everyone individually, because it affects us. And so we hear you, we see you, we are in it with you. So we appreciate you guys very much for speaking up and, like they said, being involved and being here. And thank you for being kind, because it is intimidating sitting up here. But I appreciate you guys. So thank you all very much.
I wasn't going to go through an introduction myself, but I will, because it kind of went that way. I have not lived in Kansas but for 7 years. I came in from Iowa. I'm a country guy for the most part, which drew me to Spring Hill. I don't have kids, but I moved to this area because the community I heard was good, school district I heard was very good. So I thought, well, you know, it's a good area for a potential live here, retire, sell my house, move. Now, I've been here 7 years, I'm not going anywhere. I love the community, I wanna see it grow as well as we can all make it grow. And Chad asked me, why now did I wanna get on planning commission? I lived here long enough, I've gotten to see some of the community grow, some good, some not so good, and I wanted to have a part in it, just other than either complaining or saying good about it at home. I wanted to actually have a part of it. So I do hope we get some face-to-face with people, whether it be over coffee, cookies, cooking hot dogs and having chips, and just being able to have that interaction, because right now, this is the best we've seen, just from the time that I've been here. So I'm very excited as to seeing what this community can do. So thank you. Thank you for being here.
I'll make just one more comment, which is the advantage of being up here because your time isn't limited. Kind of motivated me to come up here, especially if you like to talk. So I've been kind of active in following the city council and planning commission for about 6 years now, and I have to say, so outsider turned insider, but I have to say I'm really, really encouraged by where the city is right now, particularly the city staff and the additional staff that has been added, including Ian and Mike. So city planner and a new community development director, Allison, the city engineer. You know, those are roles that didn't exist a few years ago. So what I'm seeing, and already in these packets and the information, you know, we're seeing a level of detail and thoughtfulness and information sharing that we've never had before. And so that, to me, is very encouraging. I know Derek mentioned the electrical code and the building codes. They're aware. And that's something we've been mentioning for a couple years now, and they are aware. Yeah. And so I have to say I've been impressed so far, and I'm very encouraged that, you know, that the city's gonna be more professional and more thoughtful, I think, about the types of development that we have going forward. And someone was commenting about, and I totally agree with this, which is, you know, hey, rather than just responding to everything that comes our way, why don't we try to put out there as a city, you know, what does the city want? What do we want to attract? And I can tell you that this staff is very focused on that. So.
Yes.
Mike, can we do, as one of the audience speakers suggested, can we bump a couple of your timelines that were, I don't know, I left my packet that I was making notes on out there, but I don't know, items 3 or 4 where we were talking about doing some of the get-togethers or the education on,
Oh, like the participation?
well, there was something on there about the education of what zones can go next to each other and all.
Land use 101.
What did
how
you
to
call
go
it?
land use 101.
Yeah, can we do some of that in that 2-month period that we're waiting on some of that to come back? Can we start any of that ahead of time?
Yeah, I think we can arrange something within that time frame, for sure.
I mean, it's open times, can we?
Yeah, I think if we have a lighter agenda on a given evening, I think we can do some of that. Or if there's the desire and we can have enough people there, maybe a meeting on that, off Thursday.
Or, I mean, even pick another, I mean, I know that it means staff has to come back in, but even a Monday night or a Wednesday night or.
Yeah, I think that's something we can definitely look at doing. I agree.
Pose the question and have public come in of, what do you see Spring Hill looking like? I mean,
Yeah.
you just pose one question or 2 questions and have discussion or something around the room of this is what we like or this is what we would want or.
Yeah, I think we can do that for
And
sure.
some of those things we could get out of the way and have a better mindset or understanding of, I don't know, I'm just asking.
Yeah, I think we can definitely get something at least scheduled within the next month or 6 weeks to be able to start having some of those just initial listening sessions and not necessarily facilitated discussions by a trained consultant who knows public engagement, but just kind of general discussions about how does a comprehensive plan set the framework for future growth, and then what are the tools the city has to implement that, such as zoning or subdivision regulations, and kind of the hierarchy of development and discretion that is, afforded the different body making the decision on a given application, and just kind of run through that kind of process. We can definitely have that done.
I mean, it's just the 1st of April, maybe we can get one in still in April, just for.
I know that makes me excited to hear
Yes.
because I know I was so excited back in 2023 when they talked about doing the comp plan originally. And I was like, oh my gosh, they want citizen participation. This is amazing. And then I was disappointed because I personally never saw anything come out. I know several people did. I just had to have missed it in some way, but I missed a lot of that. And so I was very disappointed. And I do think that having something really soon, or as soon as we could, will help with, one, letting everyone know that we are serious and getting the ball rolling, but two, helping with, like Kurt said, building that trust and just showing the citizens that we are doing our best. So that makes me excited to hear Cindy's suggestion. You say, yes, we could do something like that. Like, oh yes, let's do it. Like I love hearing that. So thank you.
Let's not lose this engagement.
100%.
Let's go.
But I appreciate that you guys are so receptive and willing as a staff to help us out. And I'm excited. I can't wait to see where this goes and finally get something that's decent
Well, and
as a comp plan.
If you can't lead it, let the mayor lead it. Let the president of the council. Let Kendra. I mean,
Kendra's got plenty of time. That's fine.
you don't have girls at home.
Yeah, no, it's fine. Yeah, for sure. I'll do it.
I mean, let's just, we can just pose a couple questions and get going, or whatever you called it, land use 101 or something. I mean.
Well, I just had an idea
No.
too, that like you could post a weekly question and people could make suggestions on Facebook, drop by a suggestion per the question or something, just to get the ball rolling, get something going. It doesn't have to be formal. It can be super blasé, but just something.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I like it. I'm excited.
Let's go.
Yeah, amen. Pedal to the metal.
And Derek Derek set in on several of those things. He may have a couple of great questions that he's been through, so.
Yeah,
let's go. We've waited long enough.
I certainly
We've waited long enough, and the Bible that was printed was just a bunch of cut and paste.
I think Mike is excited to get the comp plan done, so we stop talking about it, honestly, because we have been incessant.
I'm excited for a lot of other reasons, but not that one.
He's honest.
Maybe that one a little bit.
No, I mean, I think we're ready to go. We love the neighborhood engagement, community engagement. I think it goes well with the momentum that we have in the city, but also we don't get people's attention this often. Most public engagement processes, whether it's a downtown plan or a comp plan, it's not at the forefront of everybody's mind. And so people just kind of go, oh, yeah, I want to go to that, but something came up. Or, God, I don't want to go out tonight, it's raining or something. But being able to capture and really take advantage of this much engagement and this much attention right now is a great thing. And that's one of the reasons why I approached Lane and the mayor and ultimately led to tonight's meeting about reopening up the public engagement process. Because oftentimes we don't hear from people, or they just think, yeah, it really won't do any good, or yeah, cool, that development may come here, whether it's a development project or a planning long-term plan, and then they wonder what happened to it down the road. And so we would love to get this amount of public engagement every meeting. And so, but yeah, we definitely don't want to squander this moment.
One of them that I set in on back when was even just doing buildings with Legos or Duplos. And that, when we were talking about the lighting and the shadow that it would cast and what that would look like, that made me think of the Legos, because that was how we were doing it. And if you had this M2 and it was this tall, that really brought back what we were doing then, and how much that impacted, and the height and the growth and the bigness of it next to a residential area.
Mm-hmm.
And when we were talking about the growth or the height of buildings, that made me reflect back to that in my head, So even for people to be able to have a miniature scale in front of them might help understand what buffering would be and what a zoning next to another zoning would look like. I don't know. It was helpful for me back then.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, I even struggle with it sometimes when I'm looking at a plan view and
Yes.
see a 30-foot buffer and then trying to envision what does actually 30 feet look like out in the real world.
Yes.
You know, what is 10 feet? What is 20 feet? Or, you know, looking at different images of what density of housing actually is. What does one dwelling unit an acre look like versus 5 versus 10, and actually visualizing what that looks like. And so there's lots of resources out there that I'm sure we can pull something together, and just kind of start having these conversations, getting the ideas flowing. You know,
I think those type of meetings and the charts on the wall of what you want Spring Hill to look like would be incredibly engaging and helpful for brainstorming.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
I'm excited.
Any further discussion? If y'all wanna get out of here, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved. Oh, wait, you didn't say what you wanted.
All motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
See you later.
Thanks.